What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into TTP Sports. A little bit of, I guess, a quasi Phillies after dark, since they're on the Central Coast, playing at an hour's difference in Texas. 8 o'clock start for tonight. Eh, uh, 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 I don't know if this classifies as Phillies after dark, but feels like it's later than it should be. You know what I mean? But they do get the win in the first game of this series against the Texas Rangers in a place, well, in a city that they haven't won in a very long time. I think they said the last time the Phillies won in Arlington was back in 2014. So, yeah, it's a pretty long time coming since they won in this goddamn city. And they kind of did it in dominating fashion. Well, the offense woke up very late and just put a bunch of runs up on the board in the top of the ninth inning. They were leading 4-1 through the majority of this contest. But overall, it was a, I guess you could say, I don't want to say it was a relaxing game, honestly, because there definitely were some, I guess, close parts. There were definitely parts that made you want to feel a little bit uncomfortable with Christopher Sanchez on the mound. He got into a little bit of jams, but he got out of those jams. So that's just, stud stuff from Christopher Sanchez to figure out a way from those jams. Phillies offense, they definitely squandered some opportunities throughout majority of the game until they figured it out in that top of the ninth inning. Just cherry on the top with Trea Turner's 3-run blast to make it 9-1. And yeah, that's and all of it just to prevent Johan Duran to get on the mound. The Phillies really do not want this guy to close out games at this point because he's only closed out 2 games for this team since coming over from the trade deadline, and they played a little bit of they played a few games since then, and he's barely seen the mound, and I feel like that's kind of frustrating Phillies fans. But hey. I guess the more rest for him, the better. He was out there in the bullpen warming up for that ninth inning until the Phillies put all those runs on the board, and then he eventually sat down once they did get those runs on the board, and then Trea Turner just made the exclamation point. So that kind of is a funny narrative at that point. It really is that every time, oh my God, Durant's actually going to come into the game. Nope, because the Phillies just kept adding on insurance runs. Oh man, that is a funny bit. That is a very funny bit. But it was a good win. It was a good win. Definitely a good win to start this very long road trip for this team. And also a very good win because the New York Mets lost again. They lost to the Milwaukee Brewers on a fantastic play by the center fielder for the Milwaukee Brewers, throwing out, I believe it was Starling Marte at home plate to get the win for Milwaukee. So after today's win plus the Mets loss, you're now 3.5 games above the New York Mets for first place in the National League East. So that definitely, helps with that separation a little bit. Obviously, like with the Mets, they're playing a very tough series with the Milwaukee Brewers. They did go up 2-0 in that game, and then they eventually blew the 2-0 lead, and then eventually lost 3-2 on, you know, to the Brewers. So helps the Phillies out there a little bit. So it helps, definitely helps. But yeah, from this game, Brandon Marsh continues to stay basically red hot ever since he came back from the IL stint that he had earlier in the year because he is just swinging a very good, consistent bat. And right now, it's a bat that's very difficult to take out of the lineup because he's been so consistent for you basically since the month of May. And like I said, it's really since he came back from that very early IL stint. Remember in the month of April where he didn't register a hit? Like that like I know people don't like Brandon Marsh at this point. Brandon Marsh wasn't a guy that goes hitless in a month. Brandon Marsh, the past few seasons, he got off to a very hot start, and then eventually he died down and regressed back to the mean as the season prolonged. Like, this is the very hot stretch of Brandon Marsh, even though this hot stretch has been going on for a very long time, and the power seems to be showing up more frequently with Brandon Marsh as he gets another home run in today's game, and he gets a couple of extra base hits at the same time. One of those was also kind of helped by Adolis Garcia booting the ball, trying to dive for it. It goes off the palm of his glove and spurts out into the outfield. So that kind of helped out Marsh in that aspect. But still, he had 4 hits on the score sheet for today. He went 4 for 5 with the solo shot and a couple of doubles. So hey, keep swinging that hot bat. Keep swinging that hot bat. And Trea Turner, it's back-to-back good games for Trea Turner as well. He had 5 RBIs in today's game. He got the 2-run RBI double that made it a 4-1 Phillies lead, and then he had the exclamation point with the 3-run shot in the top of the 9th inning. So, first time in a very long time that Trea Turner's hit a home run, and I believe they said that was the first time he's hit a home run since June 27th. So, yeah, that really shows you how much Trea Turner has been struggling with the long ball this season. But he's put together a couple of good games so far, since going through that very long struggle. So maybe he's finding himself at the plate once again, and that could be very good for this Phillies team. Also, you put in another Kyle Schwarber in that top of the first inning to give the Phillies a 1-0 lead. Sadly, Christopher Sanchez immediately coughed that up in the bottom of the first. But always nice. Always nice to have a nice little Schwarber. That is always nice at the end of the day. Other things that I guess weren't as good. Max Kepler having a couple of chances with runners on, not really doing much there. People still very frustrated with Max Kepler in the lineup, and it definitely is very confusing. And there was a situation where I believe it was Max Kepler up against the left-handed pitcher. I don't remember if it was bases loaded or not. It could have been with bases loaded in this game, and they didn't decide to pinch hit for Kepler and bring in Bader because there was a lefty on the mound. And I kind of feel like that goes against their philosophy of what the hell they were talking about when they brought Bader in, when they were talking about this whole platoon thing. And I thought those were the matchups that you wanted for Harrison Bader, was him going in there against a left-handed pitcher. I don't know. I kind of just feel that that goes against the philosophy. What are you bringing, another fucking promise with Max Kepler? What did you make a promise before today's game that Max Kepler was going to get every at bat tonight regardless? I have no fucking clue. Or is it because you already scheduled Harrison Bader to start tomorrow, so you're getting Max Kepler all the reps for today's game? Like I said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I would have pinched hit Max Kepler in a fucking second. 100%. I know that he showed his human side the other night, but still, it comes to, and I can understand, I feel bad for the human aspect of Max Kepler, but at the end of the day, you're still not producing on the field as consistently as you should. Well, not consistently, well, producing to what your capabilities should be, I guess you could say. And Harrison Bader deserves to play way more than Max Kepler. That is just the bottom line. That is just the bottom line right there. Crazy. Bryson Stott had a couple of nice at-bats in this game, and the one at-bat that was very ugly where he stared at a pitch right down the middle of the plate with bases loaded. But he also had a couple of RBI hitting that top of the 9th inning. Got on base a couple of times with a couple of walks. Christopher Sanchez's night, he battled. He battled. He got out of some jams. He managed going 6 strong innings, 6 hits, only 1 earned run allowed. Like I said, he dealt with some base runners throughout the entire game, but him and his defense, well, Otto Kemp did have a very bad play at third base, obviously almost overthrowing Bryce Harper and taking him off the bag. But besides that, Christopher Sanchez did pretty good to battle through a lot of the jams in today's game and only gave up that run in the bottom of the first inning. And then the bullpen came in and did their job. Strom came in, he allowed a bunt single, but then retired the next 3 batters fairly quickly. Kerkering, he had a strong 8th inning, struck out 3 batters. Some of his pitches were very nasty. And then Lazar, he pitched in that 9th inning when the game was basically out of reach. And he even made that difficult because for some reason, even with a so many large run lead, no Phillies low leverage pitcher can come in and just throw strikes. It's crazy. It is crazy. But that is a nitpick right there. You win the game 9-1. That is the important thing. Yada, yada, yada. But now you're 3.5 games up on the New York Mets. I'll take that any day of the week. So let's just go through today's game. Kyle Schwarber with the solo shot in that top of the first inning put you up 1-0. Harper got hit by a pitch. Eventually got caught stealing. He was called safe originally. Rangers reviewed it or challenged it. Then the call got overturned. He was out. So kind of stupid there from Bryce. JT ended up walking, and then Castellanos grounded into a fielder's choice. Bottom first, Seager with a 1-out single, Semien with a single, then 2 outs, Jung up at the plate, and he gets an RBI single to tie the game. Sanchez limits the damage after that. Top second, Brandon Marsh with a leadoff double, does not come around the score. Bottom of the second inning, Berger reaches in on a throwing error by Kemp, but then Christopher Sanchez gets the next 3 guys out. Top 3, Schwarber with a leadoff walk, nothing happens there. Bottom 3, a 1-2-3 for Christopher Sanchez. Then you go top 4, Brandon Marsh with the leadoff solo shot, puts you up 2-1. Kemp then walks with 1 out, same thing with Bryson Stott, so you got first and second with Trea Turner up. He doubles down the left field line, put you up 4-1. So you got a nice little cushion there for Christopher Sanchez. He has a 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 4th inning as well. Then you go top 5th. Phillies have more base runners. They can't bring more runners home. JT with a leadoff single. They go to the bullpen. Brandon Marsh with the double that moves JT over the 3rd. Obviously, Marsh to second base. That was the play that Adolis Garcia booted with the ball going off of his palm. Then those guys could not score. Kemp then walked. Well, it was a Kepler grounded out to shallow shortstop. JT got thrown out at home and going on contact. And then Kemp walked, and then Stott struck out looking at the pitch right down the middle of the plate. This was the lefty that they brought in to face Marsh and Kepler. Marsh got the hit. Marsh got the job done. You should have pitched hit for Kepler. My personal opinion right there. Then you go bottom 5 for Christopher Sanchez. He got out of a big jam in this one. It was bases loaded. So Duran singled. Seager singled with 2 outs, and then Semien walked with 2 outs to load the bases up. And then Langford, in a 2-2 count, manages to fly out to get out of that inning for Christopher Sanchez. Does not allow a run to score, does not allow the Rangers to respond. Top 6, Trea Turner with a leadoff walk. He ends up stealing second base, but then next 3 batters don't do anything. Strands him over there at second. Bottom 6th, after a 2-out double by Berger, basically a very relatively easy inning for Christopher Sanchez, and that would be his last inning. Top 2nd, Brandon Marsh with a single, does not score. Bottom 2nd with Strom out there, allowed the leadoff bunt single, but then retired the next guys 1-2-3. Top of the 8th inning, Trea Turner with a 1-out walk, nothing happens there. Kirkering allowed the 2-out single, basically struck out the other 3 guys in the inning. Top of the 9th inning, this is when the offense exploded. JT with a leadoff single, Castellanos grounded into a fielder's choice, barely beat out to throw the first for the double play. Then Brandon Marsh struck out, so you have 2 outs here. Kepler walked on 4 pitches. Sosa singled, which I guess it was a good call by Dusty Wathan to not send home Nick Castellanos' slow ass. So you have bases loaded here for Bryson Stott, and he fights off a pitch down the left field line in an 0-2 count, keeps the ball fair, and it scores 2 runs, puts you up 6-1. And then Trea Turner puts the icing on the cake with the 3-run shot into the Phillies bullpen to give the Phillies a 9-1 lead. So good stuff there from Trea. 9-1, Lazar comes in for that 9th. He gets the job done, and you win the game by a score of 9-1. Looking at the entire lineup, Turner, 2 for 4 with 5 RBIs and 2 walks. A good game for Trea. Kyle Schwarber 1 for 5 with a solo shot and a walk. Bryce Harper quiet day at the plate. He went 0 for 4. JT 2 for 4. Nick Castellanos 0 for 5. Brandon Marsh, great day at the plate. He went 4 for 5 with an RBI. Kepler 0 for 4. Kemp went 0 for 2 with 2 walks. Then Sosa came into the ball game, went 1 for 1. And then Bryson Stott went 1 for 3 with 2 walks and the RBI double. In that top of the 9th, Phillies went 4 for 14 with runners in scoring position. So you get the win. Mets lose in Mets fashion, and you're up 3.5 games in the National League East standings. So your full record right now, you are 66-49. That is 17 games above 500. And the Mets, like I said, they're 3.5 games out. They're 63-53. They're 10 games above 500 right now. And yeah, they've lost 5 in a row. They're 1-9 in their last 10. And we'll just see where they keep on going because the Milwaukee Brewers keep on rolling. They're the best team right now in the National League. They're 71-41. They just keep winning ball games. So, yeah, they're definitely a very dangerous team. The Phillies know that all too well because they got swept by them earlier in the year. Yeah. In terms of anything else from this game, it was a pretty, I guess you could say it was a relatively quick game, I guess. So, yeah, good game by the Phils. Good game to take this first one here. But if we're looking at tomorrow, I think tomorrow is a 7 o'clock start or 7:15 just because it's a nationally televised on Fox. And it'll be Jesus Luzardo versus Jacob deGrom. DeGrom is 10-4 with a 2.8 ERA on the year. But in his past 2 starts, he has given up 5 earned runs each. Well, 10 earned runs in his last 2 starts. So he's in a little bit of a, I guess, a struggling spell, I guess you could say. So we'll see where that goes. But knowing deGrom and with the Phillies scoring 9 runs today, the Phillies will probably score like 1 or 2 runs, and that's it. And then Luzardo will get crushed. That's the way this thing is rolling. That's what I would predict right there. Then you have Zach Wheeler, whose start was originally supposed to be tonight, pushed back to Sunday afternoon. He'll be going up against Patrick Corbin, who is 6-7 with almost 4 ERA. So this is a rebounded Patrick Corbin from his national days, but we'll see. We'll see. But it is good. it is good that you get that all-important first win of the series. It definitely is there, so you set yourself up for a series win in either of these next two games, and then after this series, you go see the Cincinnati Reds in Cincinnati, and then you'll finally play on a Thursday because the Phillies have had so many days off on Thursdays for the past like month and a half. You play a 4-game series in Washington against the Nationals. So you have 2 60-45 games. You got a 4:05 game on Saturday, and then you got a 11:35 in the morning game on Sunday the 17th because it's a Roku game. Joy. Then you're back home against the Mariners and the Nationals, and then you get the 3-game series against the Mets, and then blah 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 blah. Rest of the schedule. The rest of the schedule. So yeah, good stuff. We'll see where it takes them. And actually, I do want to see some, because I know Jeff Kerr has been posted a couple of stats about Brandon Marsh in today's game, I believe so. That's about Kerkering. Oh, here we go. With the 4 hits tonight, Brandon Marsh is up to a .316 batting average since May 1st. Marsh had 4 hits combined in March and April. That's crazy. That is crazy. And Brandon Marsh since May 1st, I'm assuming, okay, so that's before he posted the updated average, so this is without the updated average. Brandon Marsh since May 1st, he's batting .313 with 6 home runs, 22 RBIs, 16 doubles, and an .855 OPS. Pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff there. Pretty good stuff there. What else? 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 Kyle Schwarber is on pace to hit 58 home runs this season, right on Howard's 2006 pace. Only Ryan Howard has more home runs before September, 48, than Kyle Schwarber, 41 in Phillies history. The Phillies have 22 more games left in the month of August. So we'll see. Well, Schwarber is definitely on a hot streak with these home runs, so we'll see how close it's going. And then there's definitely some updates on players that are on rehab assignments. So Aaron Nola, he had another rehab assignment and it looked pretty solid. David Robertson had probably one of his better just minor league assignment outings the other day. And they're saying he is expected to come to be on the major league roster by Sunday. So you're adding somebody to the Phillies bullpen there. So I wonder who they remove off the roster for that. Jose Alvarado is down there in AAA doing his assignment. So I guess he'll be on the roster at some point very soon. Same thing with Aaron Nola. He'll be on the roster at some point soon. So they're definitely going to make some decisions with some of these pitchers that are in the bullpen. I wonder if that means you DFA Joe Ross or something like that. Does Lazar stay on the roster? I don't know who else is in the bullpen that they can send. There's probably some other names that I'm not even thinking of right now that they'll probably DFA or just send back down to the minors. Probably players that do have options or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. So they will be getting some reinforcements in that standpoint. Not really sure. Oh, Rangel. Yeah, Rangel definitely will be a person that goes down. But if you're bringing up 2 people, most likely for the bullpen with Robertson and with Alvarado, somebody else from the bullpen is probably going to have to be moved, either DFA or something else. Somebody else that has an option. I don't know who that is. Yeah, probably Lazar. Lazar might be a guy that goes down. Maybe. Not entirely sure who else. Same thing with Nola, though. I would wonder what happens when Nola comes back up. That'd be an interesting thing. And then Alec Boehm's also, I think they're saying he's starting his rehab assignment on Sunday. He's down there in Lehigh Valley already doing his, warm-ups and all that stuff, and I think he's going to be playing in his first game on Sunday. So there's definitely going to be a lot of decisions to make over the course of the next few weeks, or the next week and a half or something like that, with a lot of these players possibly coming back from their rehab assignments. So it should be interesting. Should be very interesting. Yeah. So today was good stuff. If you can get a series win here, I'll be satisfied against Texas. Texas, with the way that their team is looking, their team, I believe their team pitching is the best in baseball in terms of ERA. You scored 9 runs off them today, so that's good. But that's not guaranteed what you're going to do tomorrow or Sunday. So got to keep doing that. And I know Texas's offense is like in the bottom half of Major League Baseball in terms of their production. Their average, I think, is one of the worst in baseball. And then everything else is like below average. So just got to see what Lazardo does tomorrow. Luzardo was solid in his last start, but it's just not guaranteed what you're getting start to start with him anymore because he just can't pitch with runners on bases. That's just basically it. So you really just don't know what you're gonna get from him. And then from Zach Wheeler at this point, I don't know what I'm gonna get for him with the shoulder soreness. They're saying he's feeling good. They're saying the MRI was clean. So I'm just going to go on their word for that point and just see what he's like on Sunday. Um, Personally, if I was just playing the really safe card right here, um, I would give Zach Wheeler. If the Phillies were, say, if the Phillies were to win tomorrow, would you rest Zach Wheeler even more? Would you just push his start back again if you win tomorrow? You win tomorrow, you win the series. Uh, Either you call someone up to make a spot start or something like that, or you just push Wheeler back more just so he has more rest. It's probably not what they're going to do. Personally, just something I would do, just because of just the weirdness of shoulder soreness and all that stuff, because you just never know what it's truly going to be. Even though they say the MRI is clean and all that, I just don't know. Wheeler's got so much mileage on that arm for how much he's pitched for this team, especially with the playoff runs and all that stuff. I'm just a little bit eerie, a little bit iffy. So that's just how I'm feeling right there in the moment. If Wheeler comes out on Sunday and he looks like his normal self, then they made the right call. So I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I don't know yet. So we'll see. So we'll see. But yeah, it was a good game tonight. Good game today. Definitely can't really complain about much, except for a couple of at bats, but still. Some of those I guess are nitpicky. But it's just also who the Phillies are with certain things. But I do think they said Bader's playing tomorrow, so you'll see him most likely in center. So we'll see where we go from there. We'll see where we go from there. Let's see. We do have a voicemail here on the Anytime hotline. We got one from Sean. So we'll see what Sean's got to say, and then we'll get to the chat here. Got Sean.
This was a Bill Belichick special tonight. Do your job. Everybody pretty much did their job. Christopher Sanchez, as per usual, does his job. The bullpen did their job. Although I'm kind of like the fans are now. There's part of you deep down that kind of wishes the Phillies didn't break it open to give Duran a chance to pitch the ninth. But the offense, they weren't doing their job for the longest time in that game. And then finally, Bryson Stott probably had the biggest hit of the night. The two out single or double. I don't remember what it was to break it open.
Double.
But a nice win for the Phillies coupled with the Mets loss. You're up 3.5, I believe they said.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing. I mean, you know, starting pitching usually gives you a chance to win every night. Like I always say, Luzardo is the elevator man. He's up and down. He's either going to be really, really good or really, really bad tomorrow. So we'll have to see how it transpires.
Yeah, you really just cannot predict Luzardo 100%, and you really just can't. I know it just comes like you can't guarantee it. Like especially with Jacob deGrom on the other side. You just can't guarantee what the Phillies are going to do offensively, so you really need Jesus Luzardo to keep you involved in the game. But it's just not guaranteed because it's so questionable what you're getting from Luzardo's start in and start out at this point, where it was like when he first started with us in April and stuff like that in early May, like you were guaranteed to get a very good start from Luzardo because that's just how good he was in the early portion of the season. And ever since that game where he just got completely blown up by the Milwaukee Brewers, it just has not been the same. It's just you don't know what kind of start you're getting. It's either very bad start or very good start. And there's really nothing in between with Luzardo. There's maybe like a rare in between type of thing where he does go 6 innings and it's a quality type of start, but it's still not, he can't pitch with runners on. That's the bottom line. He cannot pitch with runners on, and that's just a very scary thing. So what happens when he allows a base runner tomorrow? Does he just immediately implode, or does he find a way to just stiffen up and go at it and attack, and find a way to keep your team involved in the game? We'll see. We'll see. Nationally televised audience tomorrow, so who knows what's going to happen in that point. But it was a good win. It was a good win, so can't take that away from them. And it's also in very important separation from the Mets because they continue to lose, and you got to take advantage when they lose. So that's also a very good thing. That is also it is also a very funny bit with the Duran stuff, though. It is a very funny bit that, oh yeah, can't use Duran now because we put insurance runs on the board. Uh, do they just purposely wait until like the eighth or the ninth inning when Duran's about to warm up to like, okay, boys, let's lock in so we don't have to use our dominant closer. Let's give him as much rest as possible so we don't overuse him. Even though that's kind of a good strategy, I would like to see Duran every once in a while. That would be very nice. That'd be very nice. So we'll see. Get the you guys in the chat right here before we close things down. Just also want to see if there's anything on the Twitterverse before anything happens. Don't think there is going to be anything that happens. Let's see. Let's see. Nope, nothing else. Yankees lost once again, so that's also very funny. But Mets lost, like I said. We'll see. Franco, how you doing? Sad I couldn't see Duran pitch, but overall, great offensive performance by the Phillies tonight. Brandon Marsh had the game and his career, and Max Kepler continues to piss me off. Cannot believe Turner has 0 home runs at home. It is crazy, honestly, that he does not have a home run at Citizens Bank Park. That is very crazy. Philly should have an 8+ game lead. Kepler is never getting cut because it's obvious. Romano's also never getting cut. Yeah, I probably see that happening. Or not happening, honestly. Sanchez's odds have plummeted to 9-1 now to win the side. Yeah, it's at this point it's Paul Skeens is to lose. It's Paul Skeens is to lose. Because he just can now his win-loss record is starting to creep up to like even from like how low it was. It's starting to creep up to even now, and he just continues to dominate in every start. So yeah, at this point, it's Skeens is to lose. It is Skeens is to lose. Rangers manager allowing a rookie reliever to go 2 innings was pretty dumb. The Braves are also almost 20 games below 500, which is absolutely incredible. That is, they are having the season from hell. They are just having a season from hell. Their entire starting rotation is injured. Their offense just isn't good enough. It is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. The one big free agent that they signed in the offseason got suspended for PEDs for 80 games with Profar, even though he is back now. And even though if they were to make the playoffs, he wouldn't factor into it because he would be suspended for the playoffs as well. That is crazy. That is crazy. Bullpen looked good. Yeah, bullpen looked solid. If the Phillies can get 4 guys just to be consistent in the playoff hitting, they can go far. Oh yeah, yeah. It's right now just, yeah. If it's basically, and if you guys watch Brodes' content, he basically explains it like this: if you can get, you know, what you're going to get from Bryce and Kyle on a consistent basis, because those 2 guys are the superstars in your lineup, and those guys that you're probably going to expect to be doing the consistent bulk of the offense. If you can get like a different third guy every single game, whether that's Trea, whether that's Nick, JT, Brandon Marsh, etc., then you're set. If it's a different third guy every single game, different third guy has to step up. And then if your starting rotation finds a way to regain form again, if Wheeler finds himself, Sanchez continues to pitch the way that he does, if Aaron Nola comes back up and he pitches the way like Aaron Nola can, and maybe that takes some pressure off of Luzardo, maybe that takes some pressure off of Ranger. And even though I still don't know what they're going to do with the bullpen starting rotation people-wise, I don't know if Ranger's going to go to the bullpen at this rate. They're definitely not going to put Luzardo in the bullpen because he cannot pitch with runners on base. So that definitely is a question mark that they're going to have to figure out. But you have your 2 main offensive guys, which is Bryce and Kyle. If you can get a third guy that contributes, a different third guy, on a consistent basis throughout the rest of the season, into the playoffs, throughout the playoffs, rely on your 2 top arms in the rotation and Sanchez and Wheeler, then, like I said, if Nola comes back to looking the way that he can, healthy, there is a good chance. Then you have a deep back end of your bullpen now with Duran. Definitely some good things that can mold there, but everything does have to work out. You can't be just Bryce and Kyle. You can't be just Wheeler and Sanchez. You need other help. You need other help. Those guys do need help. It is okay to ask for help. That's what you need. That's what you need to happen. I do know that DeGrom is 9-1 against the Phillies in 21 appearances. Yeah, that's the bulk of his time with the Mets. Even though when the Phillies played like in Texas on opening day like a couple of years ago, they did kind of get to DeGrom. That was just a game where Nola imploded. Go figure. Who do you think is going to get replaced by D-Rob when he joins the team? It's probably gonna be like it's one of the like Wrangle, like B-Man says. It's probably gonna be someone like Wrangle, I would assume. Lazar also probably goes down when Alvarado comes back. Yeah, that probably would be a case. How about the Eagles? Yeah, Tanner McKee looked pretty good last night. Looked pretty good. Offensively, looked pretty consistent throughout the entire offense. Johnny Wilson made some real plays. Some of the other receivers were as well. Who was why am I like blanking on the one running back that was playing yesterday? I watched the game. I just for some reason I'm blanking on the name. I am completely blanking on Will Shipley. Will Shipley had a nice showcasing. Defensively, Kelly Ringo got a little bit ugly there. Some of their secondary guys, a little ugly, especially Ringo's standpoint. I know he's going up against Jamar Chase, but got completely pantsed there. No, not pretty. Not pretty. They're definitely going to have to clean some of that stuff up. 100%. Although Joe Ross's contract is pretty small, they probably have no issue DFAing him. We'll see where that goes. Oh yeah, Walker's probably going to go back to the bullpen. I would assume that. This offense really just needs Bowman to clean up spot. JT and Cassidy just don't work there. Yeah, they'll probably go back there too. Yeah, this lineup definitely does like miss an Alec Bohm aspect just from the way that he does put the ball in play. They definitely do miss that. We just gotta see where his bat is, because we all know after he came back from the injury last year, he just wasn't the same batter. And now he's coming back from like what, rib fracture? So I don't know what type of player he's gonna be. They definitely do need his defense over at third base though. They definitely could use that because Autokem's not good. Autokem's not good, and Sosa's not an everyday player. I never thought in the world I would say they need Alec Bohm's defense at third base. Never thought I would get to that day. Never thought I would get to that moment where I had to say that out of my mouth. Where the Phillies need Alec Bohm's defense at third. That really came out of my mouth. Just let that sink in. Let that sink in, people. Let it sink in. What else? Want that runner in scoring position number up, but just can't judge too hard when they scored 9. Yeah, definitely that case. I know it's the Eagles, but Tanner McKee looks good, especially as the backup. Well, yeah, Tanner McKee would be a good backup. A team will probably come in asking the Eagles, maybe asking a king's ransom for him, but I don't know. Is Howie going to trade Tanner McKee? Who knows? He just looks comfortable though. He just looks comfortable with this offense. Really, he trusts his receivers. Looks comfortable. Throws a nice ball. Comfortable in the pocket and all that stuff. Good backup. Good backup for this team. That's at least the Phils gave Durant some raw rest. Yeah, maybe it is a good thing that he gets some rest. Who knows? Maybe it would be a benefit for you. If Alec Bohm actually performs in October, if we get there, because I'm not ruling him out of the collapse, that would be huge for the playoff run. Yeah, Bohm has definitely been very quiet in playoff runs. If you do get a hot version of Alec Bohm, just with the way that he can put the ball in play and can go on stretches where he does hit a lot with runners in scoring position, that would be huge for your offense. It definitely would be. We just got to keep doing our job while the Mets collapse. Yeah, basically. Of course, Trea hits a home run on the first game of a road trip. It's a bit at this point. Honestly, Romano probably makes the playoff roster, but he will not pitch. We'll see. I did see that you just called in Zach. We will get to that in a few. Cooper and Wilson are two receivers that look good. Yep, definitely. Baseball teaches me not to be so overdramatic, a lesson which my mom hasn't learned yet. Sosa also had a terrible plate appearance when he plays third base. It's great when he plays short. That is a weird stat that I've seen. That his numbers are very bad when he plays third base, but his numbers are better when he plays second and shortstop. I don't know why that's the case. It's weird. It is so weird. But baseball is a very weird sport. So I don't know what goes on in that head of Sosa's in terms of the position when he bats. I don't know why it changes his mindset. But let's get to Zach's voicemail. Let's get to Zach's. See what you guys say.
Hey, what's up, Amadeo? Good win tonight. Offense exploded. Christopher Sanchez, although some innings were a little more stressful, he settled in like he always does. 6 innings, 1 earned run. Probably could have given you a little more, like I said, but he'll take a quality start. Kyle Schwarber's the MVP. He's the best freaking player in the world, as far as I'm concerned. He was fucking amazing. And Trey Turner really heating up. Boy, if you can get Trey Turner hitting like that in front of Kyle and Bryce. And I know we harp on Alec Bohm, but, get him back in this lineup, get another bat, quality bat, gap the gap, kind of double guy. Our bullpen starting to look better. I think having a closer, I know it's only been a few games, but there's less pressure on these guys. They don't have to worry about, am I coming in to pitch the 9th inning? They know if it's a close game, it's going to be Duran. So, yeah, I'm really happy with this baseball team right now. Just let's finish this Max Kepler experience, whatever the hell it is. Brandon Marsh deserves to play every day, all right? And so does Harrison Bader, especially with his splits being actually better against right-handers. So, yeah, Bader, Marsh every day, man. DFA Kepler, get Crawford up here. If Crawford doesn't work out, I guess you bring back Rojas for defensive purposes. But, yeah. So, all in all, I like it. Let's just win this series because apparently the Phillies don't sweep anymore. So, just keep taking 2 out of 3, baby. And the Mets lost again. Beautiful. Keep growing a lead. Go Phillies. Peace.
Yeah. I just don't see them DFAing Kepler at this point. I feel like they would have done it by now. And I really just do think when you hear from Dave Dombrowski's comments that they do think he's they say they think he's MLB ready, but they don't have a clear spot for him up here to play center field every day. That probably just tells me that they don't think he's ready yet. They clearly don't think he's ready yet. And I don't know where that fact comes from. It's either due to the fact that his ground ball percentage is just, they don't think that's sustainable in Major League Baseball, even though his numbers are out of this world offensively down in the minors. They just don't think the ground ball percentage that he hits at is something that's going to be very sustainable in the major leagues. His defense in the outfield definitely isn't the best, because I know he had a big misplay in one of Andrew Painter's starts that put some runs on the board. So I know a lot of people obviously don't get Painter the benefit of the doubt from that start just because he really has not been good down in AAA this year. But that specific start was more Crawford with a bad defensive play that extended the inning and allowed runs to score. So there's some context to that. And also go figure, the past couple of games he has hit some home runs. So that's kind of funny. I just don't see them calling him up. I really just don't. I feel like that's doing a disservice to the player because, like, oh, hey, come up to Major League Baseball. You're in a hot playoff push. You're going to be a very huge cog for us. We need to rely on you. I just don't think that's good for the player in terms of that. And the same thing of the idea of Andrew Painter. The idea of Andrew Painter and all that stuff. Him coming up with him struggling, especially in the playoff run that he is. I don't know. So it's something that definitely gonna have to. I could hear her outside the door. I think the cat caught a bug. It's just like I'm trying to talk, but I also hear in the background that she's eating a bug or something like that. Making me laugh. Job of a cat, eat the bugs. Job of a cat. But yeah, it's interesting. Definitely interesting when you think about all that stuff with the whole Crawford thing, the Painter thing, them maybe getting called up or not or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. Who knows? Who knows? But we'll see. We'll see. I'm glad that Brandon Marsh has proven me wrong right now. Yeah, he's been pretty good. He's been pretty good. well, not pretty good. He's been actually very good at the plate lately, for a little bit here. So I just hope he keeps it up. I just hope he keeps it up because when he is going offensively, the energy that he does bring, I'm sure it's good for the clubhouse. Just the whole vibe and energy that he does bring to the team. You see the alligator in Bristol Township. It was on YouTube. I did hear it. I think I saw it on the news. Something about that. I do remember hearing about something with the alligator. That definitely is a crazy thing. It definitely is. What else is there? If Marsh stays this hot, we could be on to something. We'll see. We'll see. We'll definitely see. Cal Raleigh hit another home run in today's game. Crazy. Crazy. It was actually one of those nights where I was able to watch WWE like simultaneously with the game. So SmackDown definitely was it was definitely like the first SmackDown after SummerSlam and all that stuff. So there really wasn't much. Cena came on, you know, you had the tag team with like Cena Cody versus Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre. I think that was more like trying to set up some beef with Drew McIntyre and Cody for Clash in Paris. Obviously, they're doing Logan Paul versus John Cena at Clash in Paris and all that stuff, which I'm like, we're really gonna waste one of Cena's last pay-per-views for a fight against Logan Paul. He doesn't have that much time left in the company. Why are we wasting it with Logan Paul? I know Logan Paul's a good in-ring performer. I just don't like Logan Paul. That's just it. So that's something else there. Yeah, it was the Charlotte Flair against Chelsea Green. That was a funny moment there. And then I guess they made Sammy versus Solo just for the fact that it was in Montreal. That was just for the crowd thing right there. So that's my wrestling talk for the night. It was a it was an easy. It was a really a SmackDown that just like started something really. And I think it was more just with they're trying to set up something with Drew and Cody. I think that's what they're trying to do. So see where that goes. The Phillies, good win. Good win overall. So that'll do it for tonight, everybody. That'll do it. So appreciate y'all for tuning in this late. Hopefully y'all have a good night. And I don't think I'll recap tomorrow's game. I'll probably recap tomorrow's game with Sunday's recap. So day off tomorrow. We'll come back here on Sunday, see if the Phillies win the series or not, or be very good, could be very bad, very in between. Not entirely sure. So we'll see what happens on Sunday after this series ends. So thanks, guys, for tuning in tonight. Hopefully you'll leave a comment in the comment section down below. Hopefully you drop a like. Also, hit that subscribe button. Does me a really great deal of service. And also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. It's a great deal. Don't pass it up. Thanks, guys, for later tonight. Well, thanks, guys, for joining in late tonight. Midnight. Sure, some of you guys want to go to bed or whatever you do on a Friday night. So,